In ancient times, the world was believed to be under the rule of powerful gods and terrifying monsters. Among these beings was the Kraken, a monstrous creature of the sea. It was the half-god Perseus who defeated this beast and saved the world from destruction. As a reward for his bravery, his father Zeus, the king of the gods, offered Perseus a place by his side to rule, but Perseus refused and chose to live as a mortal instead. Despite facing the tragic loss of his wife, Perseus remained true to his decision and lived a humble life as a fisherman, caring for his son Helios. One evening, Zeus came to visit Perseus and delivered some disturbing news. The gods were losing their power because humans had stopped praying, and this meant that they were no longer able to keep the demons of Tartarus at bay. If the demons were to escape, the colossal titan Cronus, the father of all gods, could break free and wreak havoc on the world. Zeus asked Perseus to help them stop this from happening, but Perseus declined, stating that his priority was his son and that he didn't believe he had the power to make a difference. Later that night, Perseus had terrifying nightmares about Cronus attacking his village and almost killing his son. Meanwhile, Zeus met with his brother Poseidon and his son Ares, who was unhappy to hear that Perseus was not coming to their aid. In light of his perceived irresponsibility, they journeyed to Tartarus to repair the walls. While there, they encounter Hades, who still harbors animosity toward his brothers Zeus and Poseidon for banishing him to the underworld. Consequently, Hades opts to betray his kin by unleashing fireballs and monsters during their battles. As a result, a fierce fight ensues, but due to the gods' weakened state, they are unable to fight at full strength. During the battle, Poseidon sustains significant injuries. Zeus becomes preoccupied with his brother's defeat, and Ares exploits the opportunity to knock Zeus unconscious, defect to Hades' side, and steal Zeus's thunderbolt to gain more power. In the meantime, a group of chimeras emerge from the underworld and begin attacking humans all over the world. Perseus notices one land in his village and hurries to retrieve his sword to protect his community. The villagers gather around the impact site, but the monster disappears and soon reappears, causing everyone to flee in terror. A chase ensues through the villages, with Perseus doing his utmost to combat the beast and keep an eye on his son. Whenever the creature exhales flames, Perseus uses whatever objects he can find as a shield, and he strikes the beast's body whenever he gets close enough. In the midst of the chimera's attack, Perseus springs into action, diverting the creature's attention towards himself and away from Helios. After a struggle, Perseus manages to trap the monster in a tangled mess of chains. Once outside the village, Perseus uses the chains to trick the chimera into burning itself with its own fire breath. Following the battle, Perseus tends to his wounds with the help of a healer. He then takes Helios with him to the Mount of Idols, where they pray to the Zeus statue. To their surprise, Poseidon appears instead, revealing that Zeus has been captured and Perseus must find Poseidon's son Ageno, who is with Queen Andromeda, in order to defeat Cronus. Poseidon asks Perseus to give his son his trident before he dies. Meanwhile, Zeus is chained up as Tartarus absorbs his powers to free Cronus. Ares seizes the opportunity to reveal his hatred towards his father and to explain how Cronus has promised him and Hades immortality in exchange for their help. Despite his initial reluctance, Perseus realizes that he must fight and bids farewell to Helios. Before departing, Helios gifts Perseus with a dagger he made himself. Finally, Perseus summons his black Pegasus and takes to the skies. Perseus uses his ability to fly to locate Queen Andromeda's armies, who are gathering at the entrance to the underworld. Initially, the archers attack him, mistaking him for a foe. However, they soon recognize him as the hero who defeated the Kraken and put their weapons down. Everyone kneels to Perseus, who then reunites with Andromeda and reveals his plan to stop praying to Ares to prevent summoning his presence. Andromeda agrees to help and takes Perseus to meet a man called Ageno, who is imprisoned for his dishonesty and thievery. Although the Geno is initially hesitant, Perseus convinces him to aid them, offering a royal pardon, gold, and a boat in exchange for his assistance. Andromeda agrees to provide all three, hoping to save humanity. Later, the group discovers that Hephaestus forged the trident of Poseidon, the pitchfork of Hades, and Zeus's lightning bolt. Combining these three weapons creates the Sphere of Trion, which the gods used to defeat Cronus. Unfortunately, Hephaestus resides on the undiscovered island of Kale, but the Geno claims to know how to find it. To guide them to the island, Perseus frees the Geno and presents the trident, which then lodges itself in their boat. Upon reaching Kale, the team faces a multitude of traps, causing Andromeda's guards to pray to Ares for protection. However, Perseus reminds them that Ares is no longer on their side. The group was cautious, but unfortunately, a member walked into a trap and got captured. They debated how to rescue him when the trap suddenly lifted into the air. Perseus chased after it, only to be surprised by a thrown tree and a Cyclops who was behind it all. Andromeda's team tried to help, but a second Cyclops appeared and started attacking the soldiers. Andromeda and her guard, Carina, hid while the Cyclops hunted for them. Luckily, the distraction caused by Perseus stabbing the first Cyclops gave them enough time to evade detection. With the soldiers' help, Perseus was able to subdue the first Cyclops. However, a second one came and attacked him. Perseus activated the trident to defend himself, causing a third Cyclops to appear and stop the fight. The group realized that the trident was a symbol and that they were sent by the gods. They freed their captured member and the Cyclops kneeled in respect for Perseus. Meanwhile, Ares took advantage of Zeus's captivity and started attacking him, but Hades intervened to prevent him from damaging the plan. The chains on Zeus's arms aged him quickly, and lava absorbed his power. Finally, the group arrived at Hephaestus' lair after all the chaos. The old god, although seemingly unstable, recognizes Perseus but laments that he cannot offer any godly assistance, having lost his powers when he was banished to the human realm by Zeus. Andromeda desperately pleads for Hephaestus' help, and her plea reminds him of his beloved wife Aphrodite, prompting him to change his mind and offer his assistance. Hephaestus reveals that he was the mastermind behind Tartarus and shares a secret passage to the heart of the labyrinth. The group sets out to find the entrance, and Hephaestus provides them with a map of the labyrinth just in case. As they approach the entrance, they are ambushed by Ares, who kills Andromeda's remaining soldiers. Perseus tries to fight him, but his strength is not enough, and Hephaestus opens the hidden door. The group launches an attack, but Ares proves too strong. In a moment of vulnerability, Carina admits to having prayed for Ares. After the group is nearly defeated, Hephaestus keeps the door open with his staff and confronts Ares to buy them time. However, Ares kills Hephaestus, and the group rushes inside the labyrinth before the door closes. Armed with a map left by Hephaestus, they begin their journey, but Perseus hears a voice calling his name, and Andromeda sees a vision of Carina running away from her. Eventually, they decide to follow the instincts of a fellow navigator, but soon the walls start closing in on them. They barely manage to escape and find themselves in an inner area of the labyrinth where giant moving rings cause them to get stuck. After a fierce struggle, they manage to get out, but Perseus falls and discovers Helios. As he searches for his friends, he is suddenly attacked by a minotaur. A brutal fight ensues, but Perseus ultimately defeats the Minotaur in its attempt to beg for mercy with Helios's voice. Perseus defeats the Minotaur, which was the guardian of the labyrinth, creating a clear path for him and his friends to enter Tartarus. Meanwhile, Zeus apologizes to Hades for banishing him to the underworld, and Hades forgives Zeus for imprisoning him. This event causes Hades to reconsider his actions since he always sought his family's approval. However, their plan is interrupted when Ares appears and attacks them to prevent the release of Zeus. After a brief scuffle, Hades grabs Ares and throws him into the abyss while Cronus absorbs Zeus's power, awakening from his slumber. The trio arrives, and Perseus uses Poseidon's trident to free Zeus. As Ares makes his way back up, Andromeda and Aegina try to stop him but fail. Suddenly, Hades strikes Ares from behind with his pitchfork, causing him to fall. The group runs away with Zeus, and Ares takes Hades' pitchfork and throws it at Zeus, stabbing him in the back. However, Zeus uses this as an opportunity and combines the pitchfork and trident to teleport the group out of Tartarus. In a fit of anger, Ares attacks Hades with a stabbing motion. Afterward, he realizes that Perseus has dropped Helios's gift and the group heads to Andromeda's camp. Zeus reveals that Ares has stolen his lightning bolt and instructs Perseus to retrieve it and create the spear that only he can wield. Andromeda's army holds back Cronus while Perseus devises a plan to acquire the bolt. He prays to the gods and asks for their help, then flies on his Pegasus to the temple. However, chaos ensues as the entrance to the underworld explodes, unleashing monsters upon the battlefield. As the humans struggle to fight off the monsters, Hades arrives to reconcile with Zeus and lends him his remaining power, rejuvenating the god. Meanwhile, Perseus confronts Ares at the temple where he finds that Helios has been brought to witness Zeus's capture. The two engage in a fierce battle, and it seems that Ares has the upper hand. However, Helios distracts Ares with his father's sword, and Perseus seizes the opportunity to steal the lightning bolt and use it to defeat Ares. Now in possession of the three weapons, Perseus combines them to create the Spear of Treme. As Cronus wakes up on the battlefield, Hades and Zeus try to attack him with their weak powers, but Cronus ignores them and starts destroying the area by shooting lava everywhere. Perseus arrives on his Pegasus but can't get close to strike due to the raining lava. Hades and Zeus combine their powers to land a good hit on Cronus, allowing Perseus to fly closer. However, this angers Cronus, and he retaliates by sending a powerful wave toward the gods. Zeus manages to push Hades out of harm's way and puts up a force field, but it proves to be insufficient. Nevertheless, the distraction provides enough time for Perseus to dodge the last lava wave and fly straight into Cronus's mouth, stabbing him with his spear. The plan succeeds, and Cronus explodes into ashes, prompting the army to celebrate. Andromeda is relieved to see Perseus alive and reunited with Zeus, who informs him that the era of gods has come to an end. Zeus thanks Perseus for his assistance before passing away in his son's arms. Hades then admits his powerlessness and decides to start a new life. The wounded soldiers are then tended to at camp, with Aegina bonding with Helios, who wants to be a good uncle. Perseus approaches Andromeda and shares a kiss with her. When Helios and Perseus have a moment alone, Helios acknowledges that being a fisherman doesn't seem so bad after witnessing war. However, Perseus encourages him to be prepared for the future and passes on his legendary sword. If you want to see how a group of scientists tried to clone Jesus and what evil monster they created, watch this video next.